What if I told you the most powerful moment on late-night TV wasn't a joke? It wasn't an insult. It wasn't even Stephen Colbert speaking. It was silence. A moment so uncomfortable that Colbert didn't move on. He didn't cut away. He didn't soften it with humor. He pressed play again. And that second replay did something the first one couldn't. It exposed a reaction that changed the entire story. Because when someone hears their own words repeated back to them, slowly, clearly, without commentary, you don't see spin anymore. You see truth. Tonight, we're breaking down the moment Colbert replayed the clip, and how Trump's reaction told America more than any headline ever could. Because sometimes, the real scandal isn't what was said. It's what happens when you hear it twice. Stephen Colbert has a pattern that viewers know well. When a politician says something outrageous, most shows laugh, clip it, and move on. Colbert doesn't. He waits. Because he understands something most hosts don't. Some statements don't need jokes. They need time. Time to breathe. Time to sink in. Time to be heard exactly as they were spoken. So when Trump began bragging about his cognitive test, not once, not casually, but proudly, Colbert saw more than just a strange moment. He saw a test of credibility. Trump described the exam as difficult. He framed it as proof of intelligence. He repeated the same words again and again, as if repetition itself made the claim stronger. And at first, the audience reacted the usual way: confusion, nervous laughter, disbelief. But Colbert wasn't done. Instead of cutting away, instead of summarizing or mocking, he made a deliberate choice. He replayed the clip, slowly, no edits, no punchlines, no commentary, just the words, exactly as they were said. And that's when the mood in the room shifted. Because hearing something once can feel surreal. Hearing it twice makes it undeniable. The second playback didn't just get more laughs. It changed understanding. What sounded exaggerated the first time now sounded deliberate. What felt confusing now felt clear. The audience wasn't reacting to a joke anymore. They were reacting to reality. Colbert didn't exaggerate Trump's words. He didn't twist them. He didn't add a single opinion. He let repetition do the work. This is where psychology comes in. The first time we hear something shocking, our brain resists it. We assume we misunderstood. We think, surely that can't be what he meant. But the second time, the brain stops questioning and starts accepting. He really said that. That's the moment Colbert was waiting for. Because once the audience accepted the words as real, they stopped laughing at the clip and started reacting to what it revealed. Confidence turned into insecurity. Boasting turned into exposure. And strength began to look like performance. Trump's words didn't change between playbacks, but their impact did. And somewhere in that silence between the laughs, the narrative shifted. This wasn't about a test anymore. It was about how power reacts. When it's forced to listen to itself, what happened after the clip aired mattered more than the clip itself. Because Trump didn't laugh it off. He didn't ignore it. He didn't move on. He reacted. And that reaction told the real story. Within hours, the familiar pattern returned. Angry statements, personal attacks, claims of disrespect. The target wasn't the words. It was the person who dared to replay them. That's the key detail. Trump never said, "That's not what I meant." He never denied the quote. He never corrected the record. Instead, he attacked the messenger. That response revealed something crucial. The replay worked. Because repetition removes escape routes. You can't blame editing. You can't claim misinterpretation. You can't hide behind context. Your own voice becomes the evidence. And that's why the replay strategy hits so hard. A confident figure doesn't fear repetition. A secure leader doesn't rage at a joke. But when someone reacts with fury to hearing themselves, it suggests discomfort, not dominance. Colbert didn't need to argue. He didn't need to lecture. He let Trump do the explaining through his reaction. And the audience noticed. Because strength stays calm. But insecurity always responds. And by the time the backlash hit social media, the story had already changed. It wasn't about a test. It wasn't about comedy. It was about what happens when power is forced to face its own reflection. Twice, by the end of the night, one thing was clear. Stephen Colbert didn't defeat Trump with insults. He didn't win with clever arguments. He didn't even need a punchline. He let repetition do the work. Because when someone's own words are played back, slowly, clearly, without interruption, the truth becomes unavoidable. That's why the moment lingered. Viewers didn't leave thinking, "Colbert is funny." They left thinking, "Wait, he really said that." And that shift matters. Comedy usually fades when the laugh ends. But clarity doesn't. Trump's reactions, the anger, the deflection, the attacks, only reinforced what the replay had already proven. If the words weren't damaging, they wouldn't need defending. If they weren't uncomfortable, they wouldn't trigger outrage. The irony is simple. The replay wasn't the attack. It was the mirror. And some people can't stand looking into one. Colbert understood that power doesn't unravel when it's challenged. It unravels when it's exposed. No edits, no commentary, just the same words heard twice. And in that silence between the first play and the second, the narrative changed forever. Because sometimes the most devastating response isn't saying more. It's letting the truth speak again.